tell you about regenerative agriculture and why it actually fixes global warming, it fixes health problems that a lot of people are having, and it also fixes the fact that our soil and our farms only have 60 harvests left maximum before the soil just totally runs out of nutrients and they can't harvest it anymore. So where I live on a farm. My mum practices regenerative agriculture, and what that is basically, it's going back to nature. It's doing what nature should be on the land. Regenerative agriculture is basically doing what nature has always done before we came and interfered with chemicals and ploughing up the land and turning it over. And it's basically letting the grass, the plants and the herbs and stuff just grow together, and not just having monocrop, which is one crop. It's having a diverse amount of crops on the field at all time, and they work together and keep each other alive. And then you have stuff like animals, like we have sheep, and we also have some cows on the farm, which I'll show you in a bit. And what you do, you actually rotate them round like they would do in nature as well. They'd travel and they'd go to different areas at different parts of the year. And at the moment, as you can see on our farm, we have all the fields sectioned off, and then we'll rotate the cows and the sheep around. And what that does, like obviously the sheep and the cows, they eat the grass, and then as they chew it up and then they go to they poo it out, they actually fertilise the grass and the land, and they're putting nutrients and all the stuff that the grass needs to grow back into the land. That's how nature works. It sorts itself out. And also you might be able to see the little hoof marks and stuff. By them treading in the ground, they're actually pushing their poo into the ground and fertilising it. And then underneath the ground, you've got a whole network of bacteria and organisms, microfungi and stuff like that. And they all talk to each other, and they all give each other the nutrients that they require. And it is just a network. And so that's how it basically works. You have animals rotating on the land, fertilising the land, eating it up and stamping down the fertiliser into the land. And then also you don't just have one animal and you don't just have one crop. You actually have a diverse amount of crops and a diverse amount of animals, and they all work together to feed each other, nourish each other and look after each other. And it's the exact opposite of normal farming, where we use chemicals that we spray. Well, let's start from the beginning. You've got a field, it's got the end of a crop in, so what do? They go and plough it all up. Sort of like what's happening with our next door neighbours. If you see in that field there, it's all been ploughed up, and then they go and they go with a harrow and a disc, and they level it all off a little bit more. I'll get a better picture of it in a second when I'm coming up. So what they do, they tear all the land up, and what that does, it breaks up all the ecosystems, the microfungi and all that intelligent network underneath that's supplying all the plants with all the nutrients and everything that they need. So then they go and plant the seed in lines. So that field there, that's all been ploughed up, look, and then levelled after it's had one harvest. That's definitely not regenerative agriculture. So then what they'll do, they'll put some seed in that and level it off, and then they'll have to go and put some fertiliser on it, which will be normally the spraying machines and stuff that you see, spraying the fertiliser on, or you can even have fertiliser spreaders. And that fertiliser has been known to just burn through metal. I know when I've been working on farms before, they've had fertiliser leak onto machines, and it's sat there for a week or maybe 3 weeks, and it actually burns through metal. So you can imagine what it does when it's actually in the food. So they put the seed in the ground, they've fertilised it, and then obviously they'll let it grow. They'll keep spraying fertiliser on it, watering it, or whatever they need to do. And then when it comes to harvesting it using the monoculture method, they spray glyphosate on it the week before they harvest it, and what that does, it actually kills it all off and dries out the plant. So then when they come to harvest the grain from the wheat or anything like that, they actually the moisture content is dry, because when you're a farmer and you store it in barns and stuff like that, when you store it in barns, you want to make sure it's dry so that it don't get mould. And then when they come to sell it to the companies that buy it, they want a mould-free and a very low moisture content. So that's why they spray the glyphosate on. The only problem with that is that the glyphosate, yes, it kills off the plant and dries it out, but it actually, they say it's systemic, and it actually, it's not on the plant when you eat it, but it's been found in levels in our food, and it's actually been found to create leaky gut, which obviously creates autoimmune conditions. So yeah, back to regenerative agriculture on our farm. As you see, we've got some more fields here all sectioned off, and in the behind me, where are we, up there, we've got the cows. We've got you see over there, we've got cows living with some sheep. We try to keep them separate for the most part, but yeah, on this part we've got horses, cows and a sheep all living in one field together. And like I said, by having more than one animal rotating on the land, actually, so say you have the cows and the sheep, it actually stops the cows getting worms and it stops the sheep getting worms. It's so amazing. And yeah, and obviously your land's fertilised, so you don't have to put any chemicals on it whatsoever. We do sometimes, to put some extra nutrients into our soil, we do put seaweed on it. Seaweed is one of the best fertilisers that you can get. So when it comes to regenerative agriculture and rotating animals around the land and not using any chemicals, it's actually a lot better for the animals. It's the animals are in their natural habitat, they're eating grass, they're in the sunshine like they always would be. I don't know if I can zoom in on this, I can't. But there's the cows on the hill, eating in the sunshine, loving life. Some of them laying down, some of them enjoying themselves, and that's how it should be. They're getting the nutrients from the sun, they're getting the nutrients from the grass, and then if you choose to eat that meat, it's going to be the healthiest meat you can have. They haven't been fed any grain, they're out all year round. So they're always getting grass, and they're also getting hay that we've harvested, and that we can give them for extra nutrients, because there's less nutrients in the grass in the winter. We do sometimes put the animals in the stables, but that's only when they have calves and when the calves need to stay warm. Like obviously at the moment it's freezing cold at night time and stuff, so it's best to put them in a stable, and we put them in with hay and stuff. This is Trixie Belle. She's got a little calf. Where's your little calf? Are you hiding her? Well, then they get put in there. They've got plenty of hay, fresh hay from the farm as well. And then we've got Treacle here, who's also had a little calf that's just getting some milk at the moment. Magical, innit? And then they'll get a little bit stronger, and when they get a little bit bigger and when they can handle it outside in the great outdoors, they'll be back outside. Like if they're born in the summertime, they don't have to go in a stable or anything like that, but just with them being small, and it's best to give them some shelter and some nice nutrient dense hay, which is totally organic as well. So like I said, when we rotate the animals and stuff, we've got most of our fields here, well, all of our fields are all grassland, and the beauty of that is grass feeds the sheep and it feeds the horses that we have, and it also feeds the cows. And also the beauty of it is you can grow the grass in the summer, and then it comes time to cut it, and then you can save it as hay bales. They're straw bales there, we bought them in, but yeah, as you can see there, they're all hay bales that we've harvested last summer, and then that's what we feed our animals with throughout the winter to give them some extra nutrients, because there's not as much nutrients in the grass in the winter. So here's our beautiful cows. Can you see them all? That's how cows should be. Happy in the sunshine. Some of them laid down eating grass. Some of them stood up chilling. That's you can see them two ones laid down there, older ones. That's a calf, maybe about 9 months old to a year old, and then up there, stood up at the back, that's Harry the bull. Is the daddy to them all. But yeah, that's how. Look how much field they've got to roam round in. They've got plenty of room to live. There's a ram there that thinks it's a cow. We've got the sheep and cows living together. Then a bit further down we've got peekaboo. I can't see on my camera whether you can see him there, but we've got a horse in there living with them. But yeah, that's how farming should be. That's how animals should be. Happy in the sunshine, eating good, clean, nutrient-dense grass, rotating so they don't get bored, and also so they're putting the nutrients into the soil. And that's why eating meat is actually healthy and good for you, because the animals take the nutrients out of the soil, eat it up, convert it and make it into nutrients for you. But yeah, they live a very happy life. Not all farming and not all animals are caged up and factory farmed and